If there is one word that describes Drew Lock, the word I'd use is inconsistent. As a prospect, Lock is everything you look for when you design a franchise quarterback. He has the height, standing at 6'4", and he has one of the most talented arms in the entire draft class. Plus, with a full-field reading ability and great anticipation, he can easily run any offense you put him in. The issue, however, is that he's wildly inconsistent. It's infuriating to watch. Seeing him make a picture-perfect pass down the sideline just to have him miss a wide-open throw on his next target makes you question everything you saw on film. This level of inconsistency, I think, stems from his footwork and delivery. He's way too willing to throw off his back foot. He also throws mostly with just his arm, and his footwork gets sloppy. He'll have a stiff front leg, and since he rarely steps into his throws, this can lead to some inaccuracy. To illustrate this maddening inconsistency, I want to take you on a throw in the Alabama game that showcased pretty much everything you'd like to see in a quarterback. Before I begin, I want to ask you to excuse the potato quality of this film. It's the best I can get, and for this video, we'll just have to deal with it. Alabama is playing cover 5 on the snap. Now, cover 5, which functions like a combination of cover 2 man and cover 2 trap, is a great defensive call against a vertical offense. Since the defensive backs are pattern matching, their goal is to limit mistakes on the offense releases. Their comboing in this coverage helps them do that. On the right side of the formation, Missouri is using a vertical switch release in order to beat man-to-man coverage. Since Alabama is pattern matching, they cover these routes pretty well. However, a good throw can still beat good coverage. After taking his 3-step drop out of shotgun, Lock identifies that his slot receiver beat the physical catch coverage of Alabama's outside cornerback. As soon as he saw his wide receiver's hips cross the defender, Lock launched his pass. He fired the ball perfectly into the hands of his target in between defenders. The arm strength and the accuracy that you see on this play is clearly there. This was an awesome throw, and it quickly picked up 23 yards for this offense. Here's another throw showcasing that same ability later in the Alabama game. Similar to the last pass, Alabama is once again in a too-high zone look on this play. On the outside, Lock's receiver is running a fade route. He uses a speed release, but the cornerback is right there on his inside hip the entire route. Look when Lock threw this ball. This is a tiny window. If Lock threw this pass too far inside, it would risk an interception from the safety. He has to put it in front of his target and on the boundary in order to complete this pass. As you can see, the ball was perfectly thrown. The receiver caught the ball as he fell to the ground, and it resulted in another solid gain. Just like before, the throw beat the coverage on this play. Both these passes that you just saw are NFL quality, and they should make you very excited if your team drafts him in April. Now, the thing about Lock is that talent was never the issue. The truth is that he made a lot of accurate and positive throws based on my tracking. He truly made some spectacular plays. However, the issue is that his results vary greatly on a play-by-play basis. While Lock is far from a guy like Josh Allen is in terms of accuracy, he is still prone to a few terrible, god-awful throws a game. These throws make you wonder what the hell just happened. Again, the good definitely outweighs the bad in terms of his accuracy, but Lock's misses do bring up some reasonable concerns as you look him as a prospect. After going through about 7 or so games of tape, it seemed like any time he was forced to move from his spot in the pocket or was pressured and flushed outside, his accuracy, his decision making, and generally his mechanics all deteriorated pretty rapidly. The difference between when Lock was in rhythm and perfectly protected versus when Lock was on the move or faced pressure was absolutely startling. Some of his throws were just bad. One thing that consistently came up was that Lock isn't an accurate thrower on the run. It also gets worse when he's moving to his left and to his right. Lock consistently struggled with squaring his shoulders to the line of scrimmage, and this led to sailed passes and grounded throws. In my opinion, this is one area that Lock has to improve on. It worries me that I can easily see an NFL defense game planning for this issue, and they're gonna use stunts to force him into bad throws. As I showed earlier in this video, Lock is accurate on in-rhythm throws, but he needs to work on his touch accuracy. He defaults to a bullet pass when touch is required to complete the throw. As you can see, his arm strength is very apparent, but I want to see an improvement with his placement on lob passes. In this play against Vanderbilt, Lock had a wide open receiver breaking past the defense. There was clearly a bust in coverage. All Lock had to do was place his ball in stride, and this would have been a touchdown. Instead, he threw a bullet and he tragically underthrew the ball. His receiver had to slow down to an almost stop when he should have walked in for the score. The next thing that I want to talk about is his pocket awareness and his feel for pressure. I feel like he's very hit or miss in this category. During the season, Lock was only sacked 13 times. This number is obviously low, and his offensive line is crazily underrated. They sometimes give him days to make his throws. Plus, when you add in how quickly he reads defenses and his great anticipation, he definitely stopped sacks from happening before they got to him. The issue that I want to bring up though is anytime the receivers couldn't separate initially and he couldn't get rid of the ball quickly. In these situations, Locke struggled to step up in the pocket, and he struggled when he faced interior pressure. I feel like at times he didn't react quickly enough to penetration when I've seen other quarterbacks in this class do it much better. This is just something he needs to work on. Another thing that I don't really like is that he'll back up in the pocket and he'll take monster sacks by drifting backwards. Some of these plays are just terrible, and in my opinion, how he deals with pressure, especially up the middle, I think will affect his success in the NFL. In addition to these issues, I feel like his ability to improvise on a broken play isn't that great. He's surprisingly quick in space and he ran a good 40-yard dash, but he rarely used his legs to set up for bigger throws. I feel like at times he left some yards on the field by simply throwing the ball out of bounds if he started to feel pressure. Moving on, I mentioned this early in this video that Locke throws with excellent anticipation. This is easily one of his best traits. He's an incredible anticipatory thrower, and I really like the trait about him. If your offense requires a rhythm passer and you need your quarterback to read and execute smoothly from a pocket, he can do that extremely well. His ability to dissect the defense and quickly get the ball out in timing is second to none in this class. Take this curl route throw against Vanderbilt. The Commodores drop into cover 3 zone dog while blitzing one of their defensive backs. After taking his 3-step drop, Locke had his receiver breaking up between zones. He saw the outside leverage defender, and you can see that the ball was already out before the receiver even turned in his direction. This is amazing. This shows his high level anticipation. Now the pass was tipped on this play, and Locke actually had the second highest rate of tipped passes out of the top 4 quarterbacks in this draft. In my opinion, I think it comes down to his arm slot being in the same place for all of his throws, and I can easily see him having a high number of tip passes in his first couple years in the pros. While I mentioned earlier that Locke isn't the best at using his legs to improvise, Missouri did a good job using his legs on running plays. They ran a healthy number of speed option and zone read option runs each game. Now Locke isn't going to break a ton of tackles, and he's not going to make people miss like Kyler Murray does, but he can still pick up yards when a defense isn't expecting it. Overall, when I look at Locke as a player and I try to find his pro comparison, I keep coming back to Matt Stafford. The way I see it is that they both have great arms, they both can make every single throw, and they are both good at hitting the receivers quickly from the pocket. However, and just like Stafford, you can't ignore the inconsistency. I have a strong feeling that Locke will get picked in the top 10 in this draft based on his potential, but for me, I give him a mid to late first round grade in this draft. Well, that's it for this one. Before I get to my big board, I want to give a huge shout out to my generous sponsor, MyBookie. With March Madness finally here, they are giving all viewers of this channel a 50% sign-up bonus for up to $1,000. Go ahead and sign up using the code Samuel50. Just like last year, I'll be doing my bracket and we'll be giving betting advice on this channel for the tournament, so keep an eye out for that. That should go live on Tuesday or Wednesday next week. I love all the potential upsets that March Madness has to offer, and in my opinion, betting on them makes it even more fun. As a side note, if you're a fan of betting on baseball or hockey or whatever sports are left as we enter the NFL offseason, MyBookie is an excellent place for all those wagers as well. Speaking of my big board, here are the top players I have on it as of right now. You'll notice that certain players like Quinnen Williams and Nick Bosa are missing, and that's simply because I haven't gone to their film just yet. As a side note, I also list some Patreon-only scouting reports on your screen. If you want access to those, make sure you visit the link below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. You can also find me on Twitter at Samuel R. Gold.